Hello, hello, hello.
Blessings, blessings, family.
What's up? How are you?
Oh, doing amazing, doing amazing. Great to hear you. Great to see you. Is it
Yeah.
coming in clear for you? Is there a little echo?
Oh no, no, it's good. You're all good. I'm more so. I just drank a smoothie right before we started, so I'm looking at my lips like, oh, shit. My lips look blue. But
Smooth, smooth. I like that. You had to get the smoothie real quick. I had to hit a little meditation before the conversation,
mhm.
but it's good to feel your vibration today.
Likewise, happy to be here, man.
Yeah. So Casey, Michelle, you in ATL?
I am. I am in Atlanta. Not from Atlanta, but yeah, living here for like 8 years now.
Awesome, awesome. Wait, are you from New Jersey or where are you from then?
Yeah, from New Jersey, born and raised, then moved to Florida, and now here in Atlanta.
Beautiful.
Yeah, where are you at?
Right now, I'm currently in Texas, so
Okay.
I'm in the Lone Star State. But we actually, I visited Georgia not too long ago. I was in Savannah. My adopted sister, my sister, she was having, they were commemorating her for her service in the military. So we
Mhm.
went over there to Savannah. We watched her step up there and receive her awards, her medals for her service. So that
Oh,
was awesome. I was walking around town in Georgia, and it was nice because it's a lot of different scenery. It's different greenery. You got the trees with the moss hanging down. It's the South.
yeah, it's definitely the South. Definitely a change up from where I mean, I'm from the suburbs, so it's green there too, but way more down here. Whole different vibe. I'm sure that's way different than Texas too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because what would you say has kept you there for the past 8 years? Like, what do you enjoy about the ATL vibe that keeps you
It's funny because like coming here, I wasn't really that excited to come here at first. Coming from Florida, that was like beachy and the weather's great and all that. But the people, honestly, man, I've like created a whole family away from family here, and it's kind of the hardest. Like I'm actually in the midst of like really heavily considering going back to Florida. My lease is up at the end of this year, and so I'm like weighing on my options. But the people here are like the biggest thing that has made me like, do I really want to leave? Like, can I actually leave? So yeah, honestly, just the groundedness here is super super earthy. Like you mentioned, all these trees and whatnot it has like kind of a grounded vibe to it.
in?
But I am like the city and the density of this place can be a lot. Traffic wise too is a lot.
Yeah,
So yeah, I love it, but at the same time, I'm like ready to explore a little bit more. So we'll see. I don't really know yet.
I feel you. I feel
Yeah.
you. They say your vibe attracts your tribe.
It's what they say. It's what they say. And I've attracted a really cool. I mean, with connected camping, it's kind of more so what I'm speaking to when I say I've made like a little family. Like I've really started a whole community of people that are like into what I'm into. Like want to spend weekends in like a wholesome way and not at the club,
Right.
and like want to like connect on a deeper heart space and like avoid it and numb out and like like a lot of people usually do. Like we're all like probably guilty of at some point in our lives, but yeah, I'm wondering like, okay, is it time to just expand the tribe to a new place or what's next? I don't really
For
know.
sure. The next moves, like making your next move, your best move, like a chess move. Like
Ooh, a
where do I
bar.
need to position? Where do
Yeah,
I need to position myself on the board? What can I afford? Like, what should I go? What should I explore? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we'll see. I've planted a lot of seeds here and they've blossomed really beautifully. And I'm like, well, maybe it's time now to just plant some in a new place, grow the garden.
Hmm.
I'll see.
Yeah.
I don't see. I don't
Yeah.
know. But Atlanta's been good to me. It was an unexpected place. Like if you told me at 10 years old I'd be living here, I'd be like, why? Atlanta? Like the South? Like I'm from New Jersey. What? So
Right. Right.
yeah.
And I'm from the South. I'm from South Carolina, so
Okay.
going to places like when I was going to California, it reminds me of so many people, they had experiences out in Cali and they said, don't go over there, don't go over there, Jerome. You'll get robbed over there. You'll get taken advantage of over there. They're superficial over there. They're
Yeah.
artificial over there. And I still went over there anyway. just to find out for myself. And sure enough, whatever you're looking for, you will find it. So since I wasn't looking for that consciousness, I was finding what I was looking for. I was finding the energy that I gave off. So when it came to like your intention, like what you put out when you came to ATL, what is the vibe that you put out that you saw coming back to you?
Like when I first came here, like 8 years ago,
Yeah.
it's funny because like I don't have like a very deep, cool reason why I came or like anything. I have like a more realistic thing, but it kind of unfolded the best way ever. But yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, I was fresh out of college in Tampa. Life was expensive, which is crazy to think about now because I wish the prices were what they were in 2016. But yeah, I kind of was in this like weird transition. I knew I wanted to do kind of the entrepreneurial route even back then. I wanted to like kind of do my own path of like career and whatnot, but I hadn't discovered breathwork or really figured out what that all looked like. But yeah, when I first came here, I think I was just kind of like, I knew that there was more creativity here. It felt like I kind of came into like a creative, I don't know, just a community of people, like everybody trying different things, similar to LA, but just kind of like, Georgia's own version of it, Atlanta's own version of it. I knew like movies and film and music and just a lot of people pursuing a lot of different things. And so, yeah, I don't know that I had like this grand, beautiful, big intention of like, I'm going to move to Atlanta and become there. It really wasn't that mapped out at all. I was like a broke college student trying to figure it out. My best friend lives here. And I was like, let me just live with my best friend for a little bit. I didn't even think I'd be here this long. I thought I would just kind of like be a stepping stone to wherever I was supposed to go next. And when I first got here, I was like pursuing modeling full time. I was like trying to get into that world. And that world is very shallow for me personally. Like I was like, this is not really what I'm trying to do. And then yeah, it's like everything just kind of snowballed. I don't know if we want to go through the whole story of Casey's Atlanta saga,
You
but
said it snowballed from there?
yeah. I mean, I was working just odd jobs, always into like holistic living and natural living. Like I worked at like a holistic health store for a while when I first moved here. So I was like always trying to be around that. But yeah, I was pursuing modeling, got into the film industry for a while. That's really what I was doing before I like full time started teaching breathwork. I was, yeah, a PA in the costumes department as well as a costumer. And that life is like not that glamorous. Like sometimes it's fun. It's fun when it's fun, but it's a lot of hours and it's kind of demanding and mentally kind of hard some days. And yeah, I guess from one thing to the next thing, I feel like the year I first did breathwork, I just like broke free from like all of these old limited thoughts, like all these old like I feel like I allowed myself to think outside of the box as far as like the steps of life. Like I went to college, I'm supposed to get a job, I'm supposed to follow these steps of life, but they never ever really fit. Anytime I tried to do them, like those shoes just never fit anyway. So see you
Right.
please. And yeah, it kind of just snowballed. I didn't really plan any of it, like, at all. Honestly, I didn't say I'm going to be a breathwork teacher.
Right.
I'm going to start an organization called Connected Camping. Like it all just kind of happened. I did not try to do those things. It was just me living my life organically, and life was like, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's effortless. Effortless action. They talk about that,
Yeah.
Casey, and I know in the Tao Te Ching, that Chinese philosophy of Wu Wei.
Yeah, right? Doing, not doing.
Doing, not doing.
Yeah.
It feels like you were flowing into that, and it sounds like with the breath work, it really broke you out of that paradigm of like constant, production and construction and all these different areas. I resonate with you a lot, Casey, because same here, coming straight out of college, I was in that consciousness of, well, what do I do now? What do I do with the rest of my life? And I had so many odd jobs, like from a zipline tour guide, from, Austin Ninjas. I was a kids instructor for like a Austin Ninjas gym, American Ninja Warrior. I was a poker dealer. I was a karaoke DJ at a bar.
What is
I was
not
a
that?
telemarketer for a real estate brokerage.
Yeah.
I was like all these different jobs, and then finally, what would you say when you broke out of that? What was it that really just hit the thing on its head where you said, you know what, never again. Like, I can't work a job. I have to be an entrepreneur because this life is not for me.
Probably stubbornness more than anything, to be honest with you. I like was like, there's no way this is not happening. Like, this has to work because I can't drive to the same place every day for the rest of my life. I can't do it. No, I mean, like the real thing that happened was budget cuts. Really, if I can be all the way real, I was working on a set and there was budget cuts, but it was kind of like perfect timing, serendipity anyway, because I was like starting to put money aside to like get my LLC and like start a business banking account. And like I was starting to slowly do the research. I mean, since I can remember when I was a kid, I had like a friendship bracelet stand and I was like trying to sell friendship bracelets as a kid. Like I've always just had this like little ambition to like do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I know that last set that I worked on, the last production I was a part of, like it was just I did not feel. I get really weird in spaces that I don't belong in. Like I feel like I look really extroverted online and places that like I'm comfortable in, but I was so uncomfortable in that space. I'm like super quiet, super shy. I did not physically feel good in those spaces, and it was just compiling. It's kind of like a compound feeling, like over time. So when the budget cut happened, I was just like, I think this is my way out. Like I think life is like directing me this way. I don't know that I would have did it on my own, you know. So I feel like life did it for me in a way. And yeah, I think I kind of like continue to still set those goals of like, all right, for the next 6 months, like if nothing drastically, you know, increases, or if I don't feel like I've made any growth, then maybe we'll hang it up. And I swear every time I do that, it just takes off the next 6 months. I'm like, all right, I'll just keep going on this path. It's funny looking back at all that now because I haven't taken a while. I haven't really stopped and like thought about all that in a while, but because I've gotten so used to my lifestyle now. It's been 5 years of my own schedule, and yeah, it's a whole blessing. It's a whole blessing.
Right.
But yeah, I think I just was like, it's time for me to not wake up and dread the day. Like I don't want to dread what I gotta do today.
Exactly.
Granted, there's still days where I'm like, oh, I gotta do these things, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I get to do these things. Like this is all up to me. Like I get to do these things.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like an opportunity more than anything, not an obligation. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shift in perspective. You know, I love that you're selective about your perspective, because like that's something I feel like we need more in the collective, where if somebody says I get to, you know, not I have to do this, or you know, I want to do this, or I desire, like, but I get to, like, I have the opportunity, you know.
And that's like a muscle though. Like it doesn't. Sometimes that muscle ain't strong. Sometimes it is like, oh, I gotta answer emails, or I gotta answer DMs, or somebody needs something from me, or I gotta go hold space for people. Like some days they are hard. I'm gonna be all the way real about it. But then I think about like swear every time I have that moment, the second thought is like, but remember when you had to like work 60-hour work weeks and be like just wish so badly that you could like wake up without an alarm clock that you do now, and like you could, I don't know, just you could take lunch when you want to take lunch, you can clock out. You know, there's sacrifices still within all that, but at the same time, like there's just a lot more freedom within my lifestyle now that I once wanted so bad. So I'm like, you know what, I will take this. I will take these problems or these challenges, not even really problems.
Yeah, it's like it's just like a remembrance. I love how you said that. Like, remember you prayed for this. You know, remember you wanted this. Like, this is what you asked for. You know, careful what you wish for.
Yeah, you know? No, for real, for real. Because like, yeah, I think with the breath work in itself too, just kind of like, I think anyone who's done breath work, it does remind you how powerful you are in a way, to a degree, because you can really just shift how your mind is working by changing the way you're breathing. And so just kind of recognizing that in itself, I think too, also was part of that. Like, yeah, it was definitely a catalyst for like the big change and like, wait, I can do this. Like I'm capable of doing something in my mind, you know, what I put my mind to, kind of thing. So
Absolutely. On all levels. So when it came to breathwork, you know, itself, who introduced you to it? Like, where did you find it? how did you come across it? Because
Mhm.
it's interesting that, you know, it's something that we're always doing, you know, consciously or unconsciously, we're all breathing. But when
Right.
it came to working with the breath and breath work, like when did you come across that awareness?
I mean, yeah, we got to give it to the GOAT, right? You just talked to him last week, I think. But my brother definitely planted a lot of seeds.
Awesome.
I think, I mean, I've always, yoga has been around my world since I was a kid. My mom used to do little yoga tapes, little workout yoga tapes. As a kid, I used to go out in the living room and be like, Mom, what are you doing? Get off the, what's happening? Um, so I feel like it's just been in my like subconscious, maybe even since I can remember, just that mindfulness. But yeah, breathwork itself, I think it was like 2018, 2019,
Okay.
where my brother was just talking really heavily about it. And I feel like I physically saw the difference in him. Like it was just like a whole demeanor change, skin change. Like he looked like he was aging backwards. I was like, what is going on? Yeah, it was something I just like grew curious about. I think I had a lot of experience with meditation and yoga, like I mentioned, but breathwork was kind of that missing thing. It's like if you've done meditation, that's you haven't done breathwork, you know. Like, and I was like, oh, they can't be that different. They're very drastically different. There's a lot of ways to do both of them. I should also say, of course, but and they can overlap in ways. But yeah, that first time I sat in on the session with my brother in 2019. I think I had done some on my own previously, but like sitting in on a guided session in 2019, I was just like, man, I've never felt the blood on my toes. Like I've never felt every like layer of my back. Like it was just a crazy level of presence that I don't think my whole life I really experienced. And it was like, I can't unknow it now.
Yeah.
Like I can't, yeah, once you know it, you can't unknow it kind of thing. And I guess I just dove in. I was just so curious about what could come from that, and that's when the fasting era really picked up, and I was sharing a lot about these intense fasts I was doing at the time, and yeah, my brother and I were just kind of going crazy with the whole breatharian. Sorry, somebody called me, but going crazy with all the different things as far as like healing and breath work, and yeah, I feel like that expedited a lot of the clarity for my direction.
For sure.
Like, yeah.
Sure. You know, it's interesting when you're just recalling these instances that you synced into your body even more, you aligned with yourself even more, and you tuned into your breath even more, and how that brought you to a new state of awareness and just kind of brought gratitude to something that was always there, but we are kind of unaware to what has always been there.
Yeah, it's like this automatic thing too. It's going on all the time through every part of your day. It's
Right.
it's happening, and I think that like kind of goes back to that like yeah, kind of just living consciously or unconsciously or like aware and unaware. Like when you're aware of it, when you're like it's like your life. It's you're aware of your life. Your breath is your life. So it's like a different level of like living that you kind of experience once you like know where you're breathing from or how you're breathing or yeah, how it impacts what you eat, how you sleep, your relationships, the way you breathe around other people, like their impact on your nervous system. Like there's just, it's endless. It's kind of what happens once you like are aware of this kind of automatic system that's always going on. Yeah.
Yeah. They say that you reminded me as well, Casey, that I think it was Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. said something like, a mind that is stretched by a new idea, it can never return to its original dimensions. Like once the door has been opened, you can't close it. Once something is known, it can't be unknown anymore. So
Yeah.
when you say like you went so many years of your life never really knowing what it could feel like to consciously breathe with that level of awareness, what would you say are, I guess, some of the contributing factors for people who maybe breathe shallow or why they don't breathe as deeply as they could? Like, what are some of the things that obstruct the breath for people?
Yeah. Hopefully I'm not a broken record to my brother. I hope I don't end up saying a lot of the same things. Because he's a big mentor for me. So I'm like, oh no, I hope this doesn't get repetitive. But From my personal experience, just like with my own body and just like working with people over the last 5 years, I really do think like there's obviously like physical ailments that people might chop it up to, but I do think a lot of it is just trauma based. You know, as babies, we were born to breathe from our bellies. You look at animals, they're breathing from their belly. Like we were originally born to breathe with full expression, full body breaths, like shamelessness in a way. And then I do believe like as life goes, we get caught in this like shallow kind of defensive trap place where it's like we're thinking more than we're feeling, or doing more than we're being, and so it's just kind of gets in this like shallow breathing, shallow thoughts. You know, it kind of gets in this cycle there. But and I just feel like personally I've experienced that. Like as I started to get into breath, and even from sharing with people, like you know, a lot of people are like, man, I don't know how to breathe, or like this is really hard. Like I didn't know. That's probably like one of the number one responses I hear after a session or after a class is like, I don't think I actually know how to breathe, or like this is actually a lot harder than I thought. And yeah, I think over years we're just like kind of autopilot with with our life, really, because again, breath is life. This simple, super powerful thing. We just kind of are like, oh yeah, you know, like I breathe fine, I'm good, I meditate, you know, like, and that's cool. But again, once you know it, you can't unknow it, and I think it just it unlocks so much of yourself to yourself, really. You know, it's a tool more than anything. It really is.
For
Yeah,
sure, for sure.
I can go on and on, but I'm like, am I even answering the question anymore? What's the actual
I
question?
love it. I love it.
Yeah,
You know, I love your passion. I love your enthusiasm.
thank you.
And I love your purposefulness when it comes to something that, you know, it sounds so elementary. You know, like you said,
Yeah.
as a child, we were taking full belly breaths. You know, where, where does that leave us? Like, where do we forget? And you sort of brought it in with the trauma.
Yeah, I think life happens. I think we get humbled by life. We get kind of like stuck in defense. We get stuck in fight or flight. Like so many of us walk around in fight or flight more often than not. Even go to sleep in fight or flight. Like promise anybody who's tuning in, next time one of your friends like passes out, like look how fast they're breathing. They're probably breathing a lot faster than you know maybe you could be while you're asleep. Like a real deep, full, slow breath while they're sleeping versus this like very steady like 10 to 18 breaths a minute. Like yeah, it's an interesting simple thing, and it's also sometimes hard to explain if nobody's ever really experienced it. You know, like I feel like I'm gonna keep saying it, but you don't know what you don't know. So
Right.
when my brother like or anyone would tell me like, man, 30 minutes of this every day, try it for 3 days, 30 minutes of breath work every morning, like you'll see. And I'll be like, all right, like what? But I promise, like 3 days of 30 days of breath work every morning. I'm like, what? Okay, I get
It
it. I get
stacks.
it. I get
It
it. I
stacks
get
up. Yeah. It's like
it. Yeah.
the results are, you get compound interest. It
Yeah,
compounds.
exactly. I was just gonna say it's like a compound result. Yeah. Yeah. The results are kind of endless. Obviously, I guess a little different for everybody, but I think that like it's such an anchor
Mhm.
for your decision making. And every day we make 1,000 little decisions, like from what you're going to wear to when you're going to go to bed to where you're going to drive, like what your motives are in life. I think it really, really puts that into perspective and like, yeah, just gains a lot of clarity around that. I feel like again, I got off that hamster wheel or got off that autopilot way of like life. And I started to actually question things for the first time in a long time. You know, like, wait, why
Right.
am I doing this? Why do I want to eat that? Why do I want to call this person? Why? Whatever. Like, why? You know, so many things where you're just like, oh, no, that's what I do. I go to work and I do that. And this is my, you know, like, we're just, yeah. You know, some people are content with it. I don't know. I just personally was very happy to break out
Yeah.
of that. So,
Yeah. You're
yeah.
like, I'd rather be conscious. I'd rather be awake. You know, I'd rather
Yeah.
not be in the autopilot mind. It just,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. You know, like there were times where I would go into, in the past, I would go into a grocery store and I was standing in front of something that I knew I didn't need, but I wanted it, you know,
Yeah.
like some sushi or just whatever I was in front of that I knew that it wasn't necessary, but I just had that desire. So
Mm-hmm.
what I would do is I would do 5 minutes of just breath work. And thankfully for me, back in the day, it was I don't know if they still have this app, but it was an app called Oak. Yeah, I think it was Oak. There was one called Insight Timer,
I know exactly.
Headspace, and another one called the Oak app.
I
And
don't know that one.
this breathing app, I would just breathe for 5 minutes. Cassie, do you know after that 5 minutes, I just walked out of the store. I just
Yeah.
walked out. I didn't need anything.
Instant clarity. Instant clarity. Yeah, no, for sure. Isn't that crazy? Then, yeah, people are just all day making crazy decisions and doing all these kind of things. Like your true self, or cliche or whatever that sounds, I feel like doesn't want to inflict harm on yourself or anybody else. And so, yeah, having that moment of clarity of like, I don't even need to cause more inflammation in my body. Let me not do this. Like, I don't actually want this, or whatever the case is. That's just an example, but yeah, no, it's amazing, man. That's like a true testimonial to like what breathwork can do. Like I was saying, your motives and your desires, I feel like just kind of get exposed. I think my brother and I talk about this all the time. I talk about this all the time in general, but like the want to want is so real. I've had a lot of like students I work with kind of almost go through this thing when they first start doing breath work of like, I don't care about anything. And not in like a sad way, but kind of in a liberating way. Like, none of this matters. Like, what? But we're so used to like wanting to want and wanting, I don't know, just to want. Like we're addicted to the want, the pursuit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's heavy. It's a heavy pursuit, and it's placed on a lot of us. Like, I guess seeds are planted, in different things, in like television and movies and, sitcoms and, in the media and celebrities, and like in comparison, just comparing ourselves to other people, it kind of robs us of our own joy sometimes when we think of, oh, I wish I was that person, or what would it like to have this, or what would it be like to do that, and we kind of get swept up in all of that and just forget to breathe, forget to be present, forget the now moment.
Yeah, we're humans. It happens. It's easy to do, especially in a world with so much stimulation and sedation and distraction and all the other Asians, I could say. And it's not to say that like it never happens to me, and I'm sure there's some moments for you as well. But I think like having just simple awareness and tools to like bring yourself back, like you did. Like the sushi didn't get you, okay? The sushi didn't just take you out of the driver's seat. You were able to be like, all right, let me get back in the driver's seat. What is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put it back in. So
Yeah.
when did it get to the point where you not only wanted to have it as a practice, but that you wanted to teach it as a calling? Like when did you really have that calling within you, said, I actually want to spread this, to teach this, for it to reach others, not just for me?
Yeah. It's always funny answering this question because I'm like, I don't really know, but I was like I said, doing my own thing online. I was like sharing the benefits I was experiencing. I was really like, as far as the entrepreneurial route, I would guess I was, content creator wasn't the title back then. People weren't calling it that. But I was trying to be like a YouTuber, full-time, like online personality, I guess. And yeah, so I was just like making videos, documenting my journey. I was doing like crazy fasts. I did like a 65, 70-day liquid fast in 2020. That gained like a lot of traction. And I think people just got curious enough about it. Like people just were asking me like, well, how'd you learn? What do you do? What's the routine? And I'm like trying to remember like what made me like, I guess I'll host something. Like I was just getting so much like people asking, and I was like, I guess I can try it. It felt kind of natural to teach. It didn't feel like something out of alignment. And yeah, I started with just like 2 people in a park one day in Atlanta. Like I just hosted like a little Saturday morning breathwork workshop, and 2 people came, and I've ran them through like kind of what my routine is, or was back then, and then kind of just slowly went from there. Like it just very, very slowly, and then it happened all kind of at once. Like I feel like it was like very slowly, and then it was like, all right, I'm having like I don't know, 5 clients a day, just wanting to learn breathwork. Yeah, and then it kind of went from there. Like I said, I just continued to share my own story, my own journey. I really wasn't like trying to be anything that I had seen online. I was just kind of doing what I was doing, and started teaching at a yoga studio, a local yoga studio, and that's kind of really where I learned like how to curate spaces, I guess, which is like kind of the underlying passion in there. Like I love to teach breathwork, but I really love to like the smells, the feeling, the music, the senses. I like them to be like very, very held. So I got to kind of like work out that muscle, and that kind of led to connected camping. There's a lot of other details in there, but you know, I've lived in a van for a year. That was a whole chapter. There's a lot that happened. I feel like a lot of parts of me got unlocked when I started doing my own work with breathwork. But it was probably like a year of doing it on my own before I actually felt comfortable enough to even teach it. Because again, I say it all the time, but I'm like experience certified. I didn't go to India and learn breath work. I just sat in my own breath every single day for an hour. To this day, you know, 30 minutes to an hour every day.
Yeah.
So that in itself, I feel like I really learned it, and I'm still learning it, obviously. But yeah, it was really like a natural alignment kind of thing. And now I really don't know what else I would do. Not to say I'll do this forever, but like right now in life, like I don't know what else I'd be doing.
I feel that.
Feels very freeing for me.
Yeah. And you're already qualified. I mean, someone is able to take themselves from where they are to somewhere else, then they're already qualified. You know, you don't need a certification. You don't need a plaque on the wall to say like, oh, you know, I've been certified, I've been qualified to be able to teach. You've already taught yourself. Experience is the greatest teacher.
It truly is. Yeah, and there's a lot of people with pieces of paper that don't know what they're doing. So, you know, there's a lot of doctors out there with like a whole fancy piece of paper hanging on the wall, and they don't know what they're doing. So, not to say they're all like that, but yeah, I don't think that like absolutes. Either way, it doesn't absolute anything, you know, like having it or not having it. So, yeah, it just kind of expedited. I feel like I also just like shed a lot, which made a room for a lot. Like physically, I moved into a van and got rid of all my stuff. So like physically gave up everything. And I kind of started this like less is more mindset. And I still kind of carry that to this day. Obviously, I don't live in a van anymore, but just in general, when I get overwhelmed, it's usually like, all right, it's not about adding anything. It's about like usually getting rid of something. I think a lot of times we want to add, but like subtraction usually is the remedy for a lot of things. So yeah, from fasting to van life to everything else, it kind of just made space for more things to grow.
Yeah. I love that. I love the paradox, you know, like how fasting can be longer lasting, how we can find satisfaction with subtraction, you know, like how all these things you even find in the Tao Te Ching is talking about, you know, if you want to be full, be empty.
Right.
You know, if you want to be given everything,
give everything up.
Give it all away. So
I was like living by that part of the Tao at that time. I was like, man, if I want to get everything, I gotta give it all up.
Give it away.
Let's
surrender.
Let's see like what really defines me.
Right.
Yeah, that was really liberating in a lot of ways. It was scary too, but it was liberating. Like, you know, just breaking free from things you're so comfortable in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What did you say was the scariest part about it? Like the most, I guess, you know, the most awkward part about giving it up?
I think more so like how I'd be perceived and like people who knew old versions of me, you know, like she's living in a van now. She hasn't eaten food in 70 days. Like, what, is she okay? Like I probably looked like I was losing my mind. And maybe I was, you know, just to find it in a new way. But I know that was like definitely a component in it, you know, from my family to just close friends. Like I was like kind of just reinventing myself in front of everyone, you know, sharing it online. So like there's a scariness in that, but even into myself, there's a scariness of like letting go and kind of grieving old versions of yourself. Right. You're like, oh, I no longer care about that anymore. Like, man, my whole life I cared about that. Why don't I care about that anymore? So there's a little bit of like, yeah, I guess scary. in that, or just like uncomfortableness,
Yeah.
really. Just like, man, this is new. Like, this is a new version.
Hmm.
So more so like, I would say grieving
Okay.
that was happening within. And then van life in general was just like so outside of my personality. I'm such a routine person, and yeah, it was very outside of like anything I ever thought I'd do. I never thought I would ever live in a van for a year.
Oh,
But it was like one of the best chapters of my life. So
beautiful.
yeah,
That's beautiful.
no regrets at all. But
Awesome. Awesome. I love that you had the confidence to put trust in yourself, to put trust in the all, to put trust in the universe, to put trust in your path,
yeah,
to say like, hey, this seems way out of character for me. I'm way out of my element, but here we go.
yeah.
Let's find out.
Yeah, it was a wild little ride. I mean, it wasn't always just like full confident. I'd be like, what am I doing? Like, especially at the time, I didn't like have to do, like where I was living was comfortable. I could afford everything. Like it didn't really like make sense. There was like no way I could really make it make sense to anybody, but it was just like yeah, kind of internal little calling that I could not ignore. Like it just got louder and louder and louder. And yeah, I have no regrets about that. So yeah, if anybody has that little inner voice that you're like, man, no one is gonna understand this if I do this, like you should probably go do it because the real people will still be there at the end. 'Cause I feel like if anything, all the real people got more real, and like the people that I no longer needed kind of faded away, and that's just how life kind of goes. It just exposes yourself, which exposes other people.
Yeah.
It's just a big fun house, bunch of mirrors.
You see, you
Yeah.
see the true colors,
Yeah.
like they say the ones who matter won't mind. Yeah,
Hmm.
the ones who matter
Hmm.
won't mind, and they'll embrace you. They won't
Yeah.
try to erase you.
Yeah, you got
They'll be
all the
able to
gems.
face
You got your mind is just a book of these rhymes right now. You got these gems for days. I love it. I'm like, what's the next one? What's the next
you.
quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure though, for sure. It's if anything like probably brought me closer to a lot of people in my life because I've gotten closer to myself. So it's like,
Right.
yeah, tenfold.
As within, so without. As above,
Mm-hmm.
so below.
So,
So we had a question for you, Casey. A gentleman named Josh Fernandez. He's asking, when you were on that 7-day or 70-day fast, what were all the types of liquids, like just liquids in general, that you were ingesting during that 70-day period that you went without solids?
yeah, yeah. So for the whole year of 2020, the whole year pretty much I was fasting. But that one straight 70 days was just juices, smoothies. Sometimes it was just water and tea and coconut water.
Yeah.
But that was really it. And then, like I said, there was like periods of it where like maybe a week was just juice. Sometimes it was just water. Sometimes it was smoothies too. But that whole year, it was a wild little year for everybody. But I didn't know that it was even gonna be that wild for everybody. I thought it was just gonna be wild for me. But 2020 was a wild one for us all, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I spent a lot of that year just like giving everything up. So I think after the 70-day, like was raw vegan for some months, and then I went back into just juice for 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was just really, really into like a lighter density vibration, if you will. And not to say I don't, I support that all day. Still to this day, I still go into fast. But yeah, I haven't done a 70 days since. So it's been a little minute.
And even when you were in that 70-day, most of the people like that I know, especially in my family, my friends groups, the majority of people, we were under the programming that if we go 5 days, without solids, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
game over, essentially game over for the body. So what allowed you to go way past, like not only did you go past 5 days, you went 70
Right.
days, you went
I was
past.
gonna say times
Yeah.
whatever. 70.
Yeah. So what allowed you to have that assurance to know that your body would take care of itself?
I mean, the breath, and no one wants that answer probably, but the breath was the whole reason that I was even able to do that. I didn't set out like I'm gonna do 70 days either. I just started 2020 and I was like, I want to see how far I can go. Because I think 2019 was doing a lot of fasts. I would do like 14-day, 3-day, 5-day. 2019 was like my year where I was like just doing stuff for myself, or maybe wasn't sharing it all online, but I was just like learning it on my own before I was just talking about it. And yeah, I mean, like the if you're doing an hour to two, especially 2 hours of breath work a day, your appetite will change. Like by default, your nervous system will be different. And so I was just spending hours, which, gratefully I have like time and space to do that. But I was prioritizing it. Even when I had 60-hour work weeks, I would do an hour every night, and try to, or 30 minutes before work, 30 minutes during lunch break. Like I was always trying to squeeze it in. But yeah, spending that much time just regulating, and really seeing how emotional eating is. Made it like I just wouldn't even have the desire. Again, going back to that desire and want. Like it's so much harder to fight cravings, but imagine just not having them. Like it's just like a whole different space to not even have a craving to fight. That's essentially what was going on in those 70 days. Like I just had nothing in my body at all. Like, like maybe the first like 5 days was like, oh, food. But after that was just like, what? No, I feel so good. It's like honestly the best I ever felt probably my whole life. I'm not here to like tell everybody to go jump into a 70-day fast. Please just do some breath work first. But that was like absolutely like the pillar or the like kind of catalyst or the reason that I could even do something like that. I think in all honesty, the only reason it kind of ended was it gets kind of isolating and lonely. Like healing can be a very lonely thing sometimes, and sometimes that's okay. I think I like signed up for that at that time of my life, but I think we had like a connected camping or some event was happening, and I was like, I'm gonna have raw vegan food. I think this is okay. I'm gonna have the kale wrap, and I'm gonna not die.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, breathwork for sure was definitely 99% of the whole mental part of it. Because I know like hearing it is kind of like insane probably, but if you do breath work for at least an hour to two every day,
it makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say you will feel you'll be like, okay, I get it. Even right now, if anyone watching, if you did 30 minutes every morning, you probably wouldn't eat the same breakfast that you do. Or, you'd see how much autopiloted a lot of your like food choices are.
Right.
And you actually be like, wow, I'm not even hungry. I'm just doing this because I always eat breakfast every day, but I'm actually not hungry.
Right.
It exposed a lot of that within me.
For sure.
Yeah.
During that time, I'm sure there were deep, like, levels of detox, maybe symptoms, maybe different things that you were shedding, like different layers of yourself, maybe not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. But if you could speak on anything that you saw, like, some people see things like mucoid plaque come out. Some people have parasitic organisms released. And what were some of the things that you saw coming out of your body that surprised you, maybe?
Yeah, I definitely had parasites. Definitely had parasitical worms and whatnot, and plaque for sure. A lot of that, more so, like mucus. It's all gross, but it's all real. We all got it going on. Definitely had a lot of that going on. I was taking some pretty strong parasite herbs at the time too, to just really scrub the walls of the GI tract and whatnot. So wormwood was doing its thing, needless to say, and a lot of other strong parasite herbs. But yeah, a lot of that, a lot of candida on the tongue, like that happening, or like kind of seeing the whiteness on the tongue. Like after days of not really eating food, I feel like the plaque on your teeth is usually the plaque on your organs. So feeling all of that in the mouth was really gross the first couple of weeks. But that slowly went away as I was like cleaning up my body. Trying to think of anything else. I mean, there was days too where it was like fatigue and migraines and withdrawals and all of that fun stuff that was happening. Skin cleared up like crazy though. I think the first 2 weeks my skin was actually really bad. It was like breaking out. But I do feel like everything was just coming to the surface. Like finally had a chance to get out of my body. So
Finally.
you know, it was a lot of like ugly puberty phases happening in 70 days. But yeah, I feel like I saw, and it's crazy. I think a lot of people's number one thing also is like, did you lose a bunch of weight? I think I lost like 7 to 10 pounds. It didn't really drop that drastically. I think because like I was still so hydrated and cells were so hydrated and the breath kind of maintains this like equilibrium in the body. So it wasn't this really drastic thing where I was starving myself. It's a big difference that was happening there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. You know, thank you just for your transparency on your process, because you know what you're talking about is so relatable when it comes to these symptoms. I even love how you said it, Casey. You said when I was going through withdrawals.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, like we don't often think of you know, going away from food, or you know, just fasting. We don't even think about sometimes like withdrawal symptoms. You know, like when somebody hears withdrawals, they usually think like being off alcohol or being
Right.
off of a drug or being off of a substance that is very addictive, but they
Yeah.
don't usually equate it with food, with something
Yeah.
that they think is necessary.
Oh yeah, biggest drug in the world, man. Food for sure. I mean, try to quit it for a day, and you'll realize, like, oh, I'm addicted to this thing. I'm addicted to this substance. I think my brother said it, but like, your body doesn't know the difference between legal and illegal drugs, you know. So yeah, it's all substance at the end of the day, and so witnessing your like relationship with it and your addiction to it is kind of mind blowing. I'm not here to like shame anybody that eats food because I eat food and you know whatever. I've changed a lot. I've been a lot of different people since then. But I think the awareness is like I can't unknow it still. You know, like I still very much know who I am 70 days without it, and so yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We we even had a question for you, Casey, that I think you partly answered it already.
Okay.
But you know, I've had people in the past who will, you know, they'll say like when they go on a fast, like every time I fast, I get sick or I feel ill. I feel, you know, and that's like the body's, you know, the body's healing. Like that's a sign of health, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Usually we're just like numb. You know, I feel like your body's finally not numb. You're not like pacified with mucoid plaque or whatever the case is. Because I know pretty much every time I fast these days, I always get a headache. I'm like, man, this headache has probably been here, and I just like have been pacifying it this whole time. And like we kind of mentioned already, just that withdrawal. You know, like the body literally just withdrawing and being like, we need sugar, we need salt, we need oil, all these things that are just snuck into most of our everyday consumption. And even like, even just going to that really quick, but like consumption is so much more than food too, you know, like music and movies and the people that you surround yourself with too. I think fasting for 70 days exposed a lot of that too. Like the sensitivity I had, like I first was having back then, I feel like I still kind of carry to this day. I'm a lot more like, yeah, just kind of mindful of that intake, you know, like what am I like putting around my body? Who am I surrounding my body with? You know, beyond just the actual physical substance of food. Yeah, it goes fasting. You can fast from people sometimes, you know, like there's levels to that. Yeah.
Right. So in terms of the vibration or the frequency that you do frequently, you know, what about the music did you start to change in your life when you felt the effect?
Um, I think just how much, and I'm a music junkie. I love music. I have playlists for days. I love music. But I think I realized how yeah beautiful silence is. I think like driving silently was something like I know that seems so simple, but like yeah, just having no music or doing breath work to nothing or driving to no music. You know, like we're just so overstimulated and our senses are constantly being bombarded. So for me, it was kind of the contrast of music, if anything. Like obviously, too, the types of music, what the lyrics are saying, like very obvious. Like you know, like what is this actually feeding my subconscious, and being aware of that. But more so, just turning all of it off and just like having just my own sense of music and self and sound, and you know, even when I do breath work. I do like healing tones and sounds and like kind of be my own sound bowl. Like just having no external
Right.
sources at all sometimes is actually like way more impactful. So for me it was that like I realized I overconsumed music
Mm.
sometimes, still to this day sometimes. But just like feeling emotions, you know, kind of the way we like numb out with food. Sometimes I would numb out with music, or I never really did it too much with like TV or movies or anything. But I feel like a lot of times, you know, we just like turn on Netflix and kind of dissociate, like kind of just have a different level of awareness with how I emotionally navigate things as far as like consumption and emotions and like accepting them or numbing them, you know, avoiding them or whatever.
For sure, for sure. So these are kind of like rapid fire. I haven't done this too much, but I find it kind of fun, you know, just kind of like rapid fire questions if you're game.
Okay, let's do it. Let's see.
All right, she's ready.
Hopefully, because I'm indecisive, so let's see. All
You
right.
said what?
I said sometimes I can be indecisive, so let's see. Hopefully, I can answer them.
Let's dive in. Let's
All
dive in.
right.
So, what's one person that you would trade places with for a day?
Oh, see, now I gotta be rapid about this. Mm, mm. Um, this is gonna sound like a really lame answer. But the first person that came to my head was my best friend Tay. More so, just like a better understand my best friend. Like I, you know, I think that sounds crazy, but I think most people probably say they're like famous or rich or whatever. But like, if I could just see how she feels every single day, I would just feel like I'd better understand her. And I don't know, that's the first person that came to my head. So
Awesome.
we'll keep it rapid fire.
Very thoughtful. Very
Yeah.
thoughtful of you. So shout out to Tay.
Shout out to my bestie. Yes.
Shout out to the bestie. Uh, what is a guilty pleasure of yours?
Chocolate.
Uh,
Speaking of food and all of that, I would probably say Justin Bieber and chocolate.
Justin
Those are my
Bieber
guilty.
and chocolate.
Maybe
Separate,
not
not
together,
together?
but or they could be. But those are two guilty pleasures. I don't know if I'm not. I don't really have guilt in either of them, but yeah, I love chocolate. That is my actual addiction that we're working on. It's gotten better. But yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. What do you feel is the best compliment that you've ever received?
Mm. Um. Ooh. That's tough. I feel like, and I've heard it from a few people, so I guess we'll just compile it all together. But I think just like allowing people to feel really, really like I put them at ease within their own body and self. I think that's like a big compliment to have that kind of energy to let somebody, you know, rest in their own bodies and breath is a cool feeling.
Nice. So putting people at ease in their own body.
Yeah, I think that's a big compliment. You know, a lot of people don't do that. Some people come around and it's total opposite. So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for doing that for people. You
Yeah,
know, doing that for yourself as well.
for sure. I'm gonna keep going as long as I can.
What would you say is the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh man. The first thing that always comes to my head, and it's not shade to my dad. I love my dad, but he has always said, "Don't depend on a man," and that's created a very funny, interesting relationship in dating and relationships and depending on men. I've had to like kind of unlearn that, and in certain moments, I get it. You know, have some independence. Don't put all your eggs in any baskets, really. But I don't know if it's the worst advice I've ever heard, but it's the first one that came to my head. I'm trying to keep this rapid, but yeah, it's definitely like been an interesting one because I'm like, man, that's not a good foundation to build trust with someone on. You know, like don't depend on men. It's like a crazy belief, but yeah.
Okay, so for nothing. Don't depend on a man for nothing.
Like there wasn't any more to the sentence. It was just like, don't depend on a man. Like get it yourself. You know, which again has like some empowerment in it, like the independence. You know, we love that, but I think it has created a little bit of hyper independence in me that I've had to unlearn in some moments and ask somebody to help me with these bags, you know, it's okay. It's really, I don't have to carry all the bags.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need all the bags. Like what did Erica Badu said, dragging all them bags.
You're
Right?
gonna hurt your back. Yeah, bag lady. Yeah, exactly.
Got you.
Exactly.
Got you. Thanks for giving me a new word, by the way, Casey. Hyper independence. I haven't heard that before. I like
Oh,
that.
really? Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like I probably did see it somewhere on this app, to be honest. But I, you know, resonated with it when I read it. I was like, man, I feel like I have definitely moments of hyper independence where I don't ask for help, or I feel like I don't need to ask for help because I can figure it out myself. But just because you can doesn't mean you should.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
True. What's one thing that you wish you were better at?
My brain is just full of jokes right now, but I think like singing. I think that would be really. I wish I could sing. You know, like I feel like that would be a cool thing to even add within my breathwork classes. But just in general, I mean, that's just a dope thing to be born with a voice that you can sing.
For
I would
sure.
love to be better at that, for sure.
You ever go to karaoke?
Oh yeah, I'll karaoke it up. That doesn't mean I can sing though. And it's funny because people like say I have this soothing voice, and they're like, "I can see. Are you a singer?" I'm like, "No, not at all. I'll lead you into breathwork, but I definitely can't sing."
Okay.
Yeah. Also cooking. I wouldn't mind being better at cooking. I think I'm good at cooking. But I would love to be that person that you like can't wait to go over their
Okay.
house for what they're making in the kitchen.
Ooh, Casey in the kitchen, like Casey.
Casey in the
Casey
kitchen.
cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, right,
I want
okay.
that reaction. That's what I want. That's what I need. Yeah.
Okay. She be hooking it up in the kitchen.
Yeah, we're working on
What's one thing that never fails to make you laugh?
it. Man. The first thing, I'm just gonna go with all the first things that come to my mind, but my mom. My mom is hilarious. She is a comedian. Yeah, my mom is always, and even in moments where I'm serious or I'm sad about something, my mom will find a way to cut through it and make me laugh. So she never fails to make me laugh. I don't know if there's an actual like thing that always makes me laugh. Yeah, I don't know. But first thing that came to my mind, I was on my phone with my mom earlier laughing. So every conversation, there's a laugh happening.
I love that.
Yeah.
What would you say is the greatest influence or mentor that you've had in your life?
That is tough. I guess in this moment, I want to say my oldest brother, Taylor. I have two older brothers. They kind of both have their own way of kind of influencing me, though. So it's like feels imbalanced to say just one. But for the sake of, I guess, the subject of breath work, you know, I really got to give credit where it's due. He definitely like paved the path. I really,
Shout out to Taylor.
yeah, he really did plant a lot of seeds and lead a lot of the ways. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. And the last question is, what do you feel is your greatest achievement?
Oh wow, these are tough rapid fire questions. Greatest achievement. I think I got kind of it's a little cliche, but I think just like really staying true to what it is I like want to do in this lifetime. Like, you know, thus far I think I've always kind of rebelled in a good way towards things that don't fit with me, and like in some moments I can probably be stubborn, but yeah, I think I've done a really good job at like staying true to what feels good to me, and that's attracted things that I'm really proud of. So like, you know, running a breathwork business for 5 years, connected camping, like having a community that feels like family. Like I think all of that comes from like continuing to be really close to God and like having a routine with myself and like really staying true to what feels good. Like I really I work really closely with my intuition. I really trust it more than I think I even give myself credit for. I really have like a strong sense of like I know when something's gonna happen. I know when something's not for me. I really do trust myself a lot more than I think I ever have in life. So I think just that in itself is something really beautiful to celebrate. Yeah.
It is. It's worth celebrating. It's worth celebrating.
Yeah, definitely.
Man.
Happy to be here.
Proud of you.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Likewise. Proud of everybody. We're all here. We're all doing the best we can. I'd like to think so anyway.
For sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for just trusting your intuition, trusting your inner vision, and thank you for just, being close to your authenticity, just never leaving that, being unafraid to be yourself,
Yeah.
unafraid to have your uniqueness, your originality, and let it be expressed in the world. Like it takes a lot of courage, you know?
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's harder to do anything else. So, I'm like, yeah, hearing like praise about it is like, well, what else would I be doing? But yeah, no, thank you. I think it's led me to where I am now. So I'm gonna keep it up. I'm gonna keep just showing up exactly as I am. But
Yeah.
thank you. I really appreciate you holding
Yeah.
the space and letting me share a little bit of my story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if, for people to know where you have any offerings, services, like anything for people to grab a hold of and stay in tune with you, stay in touch with you, would you let people know where they can receive that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, head over to the IG and hang out with me over there. I'm always posting and sharing a bunch of different things from breathwork to if you're a brand wellness owner. I also help any breathwork teachers, yoga teachers, whatever your modality is. I like helping other people kind of bring their visions to life as well. But I think the main place to really, really get to know me and how I teach and how I hold spaces is the Exhale. I have a membership community online, just packed with guided breathwork. We do live classes every month, and it's a cozy little down-to-earth community where you don't have to know anything about anything. You can just show up and really receive what it is you've kind of been needing. I think a lot of times a lot of us are overworking or overgiving and people pleasing, and I wanted to create a space where you can just finally receive, really, and learn how to do that, practice receiving, so yeah.
Keeping it cozy with Casey.
Yeah.
Casey, keep it cozy. Be cozy over here.
Keeping it cozy with Casey in the
Yes.
kitchen. Maybe that's
Yeah. I
yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, blessings to you, in all
Yeah.
your endeavors and all your work, just your wonderful just transmission that you're giving to the world and how you're living in the world. I love it, and just thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Received, and yeah, keep holding these spaces. I really appreciate it. You have great questions also. Just thank you. Yeah. Likewise. Yeah.
All right.
Until next time then.
Till next time, take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.